Workers' unions in Nigeria have been complaining about the current minimum wage for some months now. The leadership of the union say the current 30,000 naira, which is $27 per month, is not enough to cater for the basic needs of workers and are demanding about $500 per month. Some workers in Abuja say its implementation could help a great deal, but the amount being asked for is unrealistic.
30,000 is nothing, and it will never be anything. I'm just coming from the hospital. I spent well over 100,000 for the past weeks on my tooth. So you can imagine somebody receiving 30,000. If you fall sick for such sickness, what will 30,000 do to him?
The minimum wage we are currently having can hardly take people to transport themselves to work. So you cannot call it minimum wage. So what we are looking for is a living wages.
The labor union are not realistic in their demand. If they are demanding for such kind of money, where is the money going to come out from? Did they want to create super inflation? Already we are having inflation already.
The minimum wage was last reviewed in 2019 when inflation was about 12%. That has now risen almost 3 times to 33%. The cost of transportation and food has skyrocketed, fueled by the removal of subsidies. That has resulted in calls for a review of the minimum wage. But analysts say the workers' demand for $500 could lead to prices of goods and services rising at an extremely fast and uncontrollable rate and may be difficult to implement.
The demand for a review of the minimum wage is legitimate. The question is by how much? And I think that's a $1 million question, because there is an extent to which the minimum wage is raised, and instead of it being beneficial to the workers, it's going to fuel more inflation. The last time the minimum wage was raised, it was raised from 18,000 to 30,000. And as we speak today, there are more states that are not implementing that 30,000 than those who are implementing it. So the question then is that, is the solution a rise in the minimum wage, or the government needs to take other measures to bring relief to workers?
A group of business associations has dismissed a previous call for a monthly minimum wage of $1,000 as unaffordable for employers. Some argue the government needs to provide relief for workers in other ways, like providing free transport or reducing working hours. A committee set up by the government with a mandate to recommend a new minimum wage is expected to meet with the leadership of Nigeria's workers' unions in coming days. Both parties are expected to agree on a new minimum wage by May this year. In a bid to reduce the cost of transportation, the government says it will introduce buses and tricycles powered by gas rather than petrol. It has also announced measures to curb inflation, which include abolishing electricity subsidies to encourage investment in the sector and increase food production. But analysts fear that this will not have an immediate impact for workers who are struggling to cope with a surge in the cost of living. Ajek Mangut, CGTN, Abuja.